Welcome to part 1 of the devlog for a pinball game. Why I started to do this is in the name of the channel at this time. I'm very much a pinball fan since the creation of the channel, but never really got to do anything related to the name until now. I like the idea of going beyond the pinball table's limits. The typical table playfield is confined to a rectangular area with a bit of verticality, and that is where you will see the ball in play for most of the time. The remaining part is usually being transported behind the scenes, or in this case, behind the table. The inspiration to making my own pinball game stems from a few video games. One mainly stems from the PlayStation 2 game called Flipnik Ultimate Pinball, which you are currently seeing. It features many tables and 4 different themes. I mostly like the nature and optics themes from the game. Then there is the more modern pinball video games, like the ones I recently played, which are Yoku's Island Express and Pinball Spire. They all express some kind of adventure in them, which I want to aim for. While the goal is huge and ambitious, it is at least possible. I'm willing to take small steps to get there and document as much stuff as I've done. My current short-term goal is to make a single table layout with a functional pinball game cycle, thinking as if I was making one of those virtual pinball simulators you may have seen out there. I should point out now, this will not be a simulator. Very little focus will be put into getting the collision responses as accurate as real life, since I do not have access to the physical tables to test on. And I will not look into how table collections like Pinball Effects or the simulators handle them, since it would turn into an interpretation of what the physics should look like. As long as it feels reasonable, I will accept it. I do want a similar scale of the real life counterpart though, so I will make sure to set up that scale in Godot, which is my current choice of game engine for making a pinball game. The position of game objects, or 3D nodes as they are called by the engine, are measured in meters, but the realized size of pinball part dimensions are in centimeters or even millimeters, and could have even smaller positioning tolerances. By default, the lowest precision of number is down to 3 decimal places. So 0.001 is the smallest change possible on a number in the inspector, which is 1 millimeter. I could change the precision in the editor settings, interface, inspector, default float step to be up to 6 decimal places. However, the project settings is not affected by the editor settings, so it cannot have the same level of precision, especially in the 3D physics category. So I choose to scale in the opposite direction, which makes every number I'm referencing to as 1,000 times the original size. With the scale established, I can go out and research some values of common parts. For now, I will just work in this video with the ball. The standard diameter is 1 1/16 inch, or 27 millimeters. That means in the game engine with my own scale, I will have to say it is 27 meters. So the ball must be a physics object, specifically a rigid body, in order to roll around. There also must be a constant gravity that would make the ball roll down. There is already a default constant gravity acceleration. I just need to rotate it, specifically 5 degrees in my case, and also properly adjust the magnitude to fit the scale. Various pinball tables have different inclines, which determine how aggressive the ball wants to go down, and higher inclines produces faster gameplay. I may want to use different gameplay speeds per table within the same scene, so instead of modifying the global gravity, I will use area 3Ds that create localized gravity. I chose to rotate the gravity rather than the physical table surface, mainly because I thought numbers will get messy or need to get corrected often in the future if I worked on a constantly sloped surface. So now the ball rolls down and falls off the limit of the table surface. Let me place some static primitive shapes around so there is something else to see and collide into. I quickly added physics materials to all of the shapes to make sure the ball does not immediately stop upon impact. I will also add a script that will allow me to roll the ball around manually to where my cursor is pointing for testing purposes. Now I can implement some kind of scoring system. Pinball machines are arcade machines, and arcade machines have scores to keep track of when points are given to the player. So I'll add a score display in some way to add points to it. Currently, I'm using a singleton object to keep track of the score and using a label node to show it on screen. The singleton allows me to quickly access a single object and its data from anywhere within the game. It will always remain there even if the scene changes. Now the first pinball table element I will implement that gives points is called a rollover. On a real table they will look like these. When the ball rolls over it, it gives points, or something else more elaborate can occur. I'll be using a 3D area node to act as a rollover to add points whenever the ball passes through it. I can also use them to notify the game of a ball loss, which is the equivalent of a lost life or stock in some games. The singleton I implemented before will keep track of them. I have to show the remaining balls as well, so I will append that info under the score in the label. In certain scenarios, more than one ball could be active in the playfield. This is usually the case of a multi-ball event, so I have to make it only when no balls are around is considered a loss. Instead of just every time an individual ball disappears, then a new ball is allowed to respawn. Once all balls are exhausted, it's game over. And there we have it. A game session cycle could be played through. Sort of. Albeit with no true player input and using a magic wand to move the balls around. Later on I'll get to adding the primary interaction the player could use to throw the ball around. Flippers. So what do you guys think about the video? This is one of my first few videos after returning from such a long hiatus, and I'm hoping to do more to improve my motivation to keep working. The making of these videos are of many firsts for me actually, which is why I spent much time on this over several days. I have a feeling the explanation or content might feel too mundane for what it is as a start, and that I might have overexplained certain portions that may have been common knowledge. I did make mistakes during recording the footage and tried to patch it up to at least restore the flow, but I would like to hear from you if you have any advice on how I should approach the next video. The next one will be more technical as I plan to explain how I will procedurally generate some parts that go on a pinball table, as it will be crucial for prototyping. Thank you for watching.